Welcome to Wrestler of the Week, week number 12. It pretty much works like this. If you are a professional wrestler and you made the most impact on the industry within the past 7 days, you will be named the Wrestler of the Week. Every week, points will be tabulated, and at the end of the calendar year, whoever has the most points will be named Male and Female Wrestler of the Year. If you want to see what I use as criteria for Wrestler of the Week, be sure to check out my Week 1 episode. Just when I think I'm going to have a normal Wrestler of the Week, things go mad. We have a new women's champ. We have a big follow-up to a heel turn. We have a new NXT men's champ. And yeah, we also have one of the most polarizing angles to hit pro wrestling in a very long time. So let's just get into this. First, the men and some honorable mentions. The grizzled young vets looked very good in defeat in AEW, but more importantly, they opened up their own wrestling school. Congrats. The System dominated most of TNA Impact and stood tall to end the show after taking Nick Nemeth out with a concerto. Jey Uso and Damian Priest engaged in what I felt was a very good promo on Monday Night Raw to push the match they will have for Priest's World Heavyweight Championship at Backlash, while Sheamus and Drew McIntyre had a great back and forth at the same show. Braun Breaker was drafted to Raw after obliterating poor Cedric Alexander. Trent Beretta won a bloody parking lot brawl against Chuck Taylor on Collision. Carlito's predicted heel turn was made official when it was revealed that he was the one who attacked Dragon Lee. Bring back the apple. Bullet Club Gold, or the Bang Bang Gang, retained their Undisputed Trios championships. And Carmelo Hayes appeared on SmackDown as an official member of the SmackDown roster after the draft and had a very good main event match against Cody Rhodes in defeat. And now the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the men. Kicking off the top 10 is Josh Alexander from TNA, who on this past week's Impact defeated Frankie Kazarian, and now he is officially the #1 contender to Moose's TNA World title. Alexander is one of those guys who works well with anyone and can adapt to anyone's in-ring style. So I expect Alexander to match Moose blow for blow, hold for counter hold, and we should get a great match out of it. Whether or not Alexander has a realistic shot against Moose is another thing, but my fellow Canuck Josh Alexander arrives at number 10. We got IWGP World Heavyweight Champ Jon Moxley and WWE Champ Cody Rhodes at number 9, as each were busy in their own right. Mox had a major promo segment on Dynamite before defeating Powerhouse Hobbs to defend his title, while Cody was all over WWE television for the week, down to announcing Bianca Belair as the #1 draft pick on SmackDown, then having a very good main event match with Carmelo Hayes that he won. Both Mox and Cody are doing their things as champ. Mox is out there busting his ass in the ring as Cody continues to be WWE's face of the company, and both are amazing ambassadors for their respective promotions. Clearly, neither are thinking of getting out of the game soon, and it feels like both of them are really getting into the groove of their careers. What's next? Time will tell, but IWGP Champ Jon Moxley and WWE Champ The American Nightmare Cody Rhodes are each at number 9 on the list. We have Mustafa Ali from TNA, who at Action Forever this week from Action Wrestling defeated London Hale to retain his X Division title. Ali is just on a roll, wrestling weekly, and seems to be almost always game to put up his X Division title on the line, which gives the title, TNA, and Ali more credibility. As I've mentioned before, it's only a matter of time before TNA realizes it is in their best interest to put their world title around his waist. But for now, Ali will have to settle for the X Division Championship. one that looks really good around his waist. This week, TNA X Division champ Mustafa Ali is number 8 on the list. Chad Gable arrives at number 7, and that is for the amazing follow-up and promo on Monday Night Raw to establish Gable as a new heel character. Gable got his Alpha Academy stablemates, Otis, Akira Tozawa, and Maxine Dupree in the ring and basically shit-talked all of them, calling them losers and ordering that their only purpose in life now is to help Gable win the Intercontinental title. This was a bonkers, mean-spirited, and passionate promo from Gable, and this is the guy I've been waiting on for the longest time. Now that the gloves are off and we get to see serious, evil pro wrestling machine Chad Gable, get ready for some melted faces. I am ready for the next chapter in Chad Gable's career, and it looks super bright, exciting, and intense. This week, we got Chad Gable appearing at 7 on the list. Bruv! Will Ospreay lands on the list at number 6, as on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, Ospreay won a number 1 Contenders Gauntlet match for Roderick Strong's AEW International title, and that has the potential to be a real banger. Ospreay's appearance in the match was a true, genuine surprise, as really no one was fully aware of the rules of this match at first. But his music got a monster pop from the crowd, and his win signifies Ospreay's first crack at some AEW Championship gold. I think we are now at the start of a slow burn for Ospreay as he rises up the ranks to eventually challenge for the AEW title when the time is right. But for now, the number 1 contender for the AEW International title, Will Ospreay, is at number 6. Number 5 is Nick Nemeth, who had a major busy week. After losing to Moose at TNA Rebellion, Nemeth, along with the returning Matt Hardy, would confront the System on TNA Impact. In the main event of that same show, Nemeth would lose a match against Eddie Edwards because of all kinds of help from the System, and it seems like he was taken out with a concerto to send a message to Matt Hardy. But Nemeth would rebound in a major way, besting Alberto El Patron at AAA Triple Mania 32 to win the vacated AAA Mega Championship. Nemeth is finding himself all over the place. He is still the IWGP Global Champ, and it's clear he still has name value, and Nemeth still moves and sells in the ring like it was 10 years ago, so having him on any roster is a major coup. Feelings aside of El Patron, this is a major victory for Nick Nemeth. Congrats to the new AAA Mega Champion who arrives at number 5. We have a new CMLL Universal Champion, and that is Mascara Dorada, who lands at number 4 on this week's list. At CMLL's Arena Mexico's 68th anniversary show, Dorada 2.0 would defeat Titan and Magnus in the finals of the Universal Championship tournament. Dorada is only 22 years old, and he is carrying the Mascara Dorada name extremely well. I can't even fathom how good this kid will be 3 years from now when he is only 25. He is able to do some things in the ring that is truly awe-inspiring. But congrats to Mascara Dorada, the new CMLL Universal Champ and the number 4 entry for Wrestler of the Week. At number 3, we have the new AEW World Heavyweight Champ Swerve Strickland, who had a busy week. On Dynamite, Swerve won a very good world title qualifier match against Ring of Honor Television champ Kyle Fletcher. And then on AEW Collision, Swerve opened up the show to much fanfare and then had a banger in one of the best TV matches of the year as he bested Claudio Castagnoli in his first official title defense. God damn, these two tore it up, and it did a great job of establishing Swerve as the guy. I am going to confess, after Dynamite, I was questioning AEW's post-Dynasty treatment of their world champ, but Collision rehabbed that in a big way, presenting the champ as the main event player that he is, and then showcasing him in a great main event match to prove why he is the champ. What did Claudio whisper to Swerve? Might it have to do with a future rematch between Swerve and Claudio's Blackpool Combat Club stablemate Bryan Danielson? Does it have to do with Prince Nana, with whom Claudio has a past history with? They had a ridiculously great match the last time they tied up, and a feud over the title would be glorious. We will see. As for now, I am excited to see what direction Strickland's title run is going. Whose house? Swerve's house, with a little bit of that Nana dance. AEW Heavyweight Champ Swerve Strickland comes in at number 3. Just arriving in the runner-up spot is Trick Williams, who on any other week would have been the number 1 entry for his historic title victory over former champ Ilya Dragunov on This Week on NXT Spring Break in Part 1. The stipulation was that if Trick didn't win the match, he was to quit NXT, and man, did these guys leave it all in the ring. The match was a crazy back and forth encounter, with Dragunov hitting a coast to coast, Williams hitting his own H-bomb, and nasty German suplexes. In the end, it took a running knee to the back of Ilya's head before a Trick shot that got Trick the title. This is Trick's first ever NXT title run, ending Dragunov's 206-day reign, and it feels like NXT is moving into a new era, with Mello, Braun Breaker, and Ilya all being called up to the main roster, leaving Trick as the main man left at the top of NXT. Who will step up to the plate next and challenge the new champ? It's only a matter of time before we find out, but for now, congratulations to Trick Williams, the new NXT World Champion and the number 2 Wrestler of the Week. I am sure this is going to be as polarizing as their actions, but the Wrestlers of the Week for Week 12 are the Elite, the Young Bucks, and Scapegoat Jack Perry, who on AEW Dynamite participated in the most controversial and talked about angle of the week, maybe of the entire year. We're at the end of AEW Dynamite. The Elite and Perry took out AEW owner Tony Khan. A gut punch from Perry brought Khan to his knees, while Nick and Mac Jackson clobbered Khan with an EVP trigger, and then what has been christened as the Tony Khan driver, even bringing Shahid Khan out. This caught on like wildfire in the wrestling world, and AEW took advantage of all press, both positive and negative, by having the Bucks take over Khan's Twitter account and having Tony Khan even appearing at the NFL draft in a neck brace to sell the injury. Everyone, from Jim Cornette to Eric Bischoff to every wrestling forum and social media platform, has an opinion on this, and like it or not, AEW has generated some buzz. Whether or not that translates into long-term box office or cultural equity is another thing, and that is honestly something that can't be gauged until some time has passed. But for now, love them or hate them, the wrestling world is talking about the Elite, and they find themselves as the Week 12 Wrestlers of the Week for the men. And now the women and some honorable mentions. AEW Women's Champ Timeless Toni Storm defeated Anna Jay on Collision, and now we are waiting on the feud between her and Serena Deeb to escalate, as the Professor has made a promise to take the title from Storm. Nia Jax was drafted to SmackDown, and now the roster has a new monster heel for the women's division. Speaking of the women on SmackDown, WWE Women's Champ Bayley, Tiffany Stratton, and Naomi continue their heated feud revolving around Bayley's WWE Women's Championship. A pair of tag teams, Adira and Nautica from CMLL and Crazy Star, Suzu Suzuki, and May Sierra from Stardom would retain their CMLL Women's Occidental Tag Team Championships and Goddesses of Stardom Championships this week, respectively. Tatum Paxley gave what I believe was a star-making performance at NXT Spring Break in Part 1 in the triple threat match between her, Lyra Valkyria, and champ Roxanne Perez. Finally, Liv Morgan may not have won the WWE Women's World title on Raw, but she was the runner-up in the Battle Royal, and it is clear WWE is planning for a major feud between her and Becky Lynch for the title, and perhaps setting Liv up as the #1 female heel on Raw. And now the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the women. Kicking off the women's list is Bianca Belair, who was the very first pick in the entire WWE draft, chosen to stick around on SmackDown, and then she and Jade Cargill got into a face-to-face with the Kabuki Warriors as they will be challenging for the WWE Women's Tag Straps at Backlash in France. Bianca Belair is one of WWE's top babyfaces, so whatever program she is in will be considered to be a major deal. Add Cargill and the Kabuki Warriors, we may be in line for something special. But this week, Bianca Belair, the #1 pick in the WWE draft, appears at number 10. Rina, the current and reigning Future of Stardom champion, and Cyril Anu, the Wonder of Stardom champ, comes in at number 9, and that is for Rina defeating Sayaka Kiraya to defend her title, while Anu bested Hanan, Amy Sourei, and Natsupoi to retain hers at Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom. Rina is nearing a full calendar year into her reign, while Anu is approaching 125 days into hers. Rina is only 17 years old, while Anu is barely into her 30s, so both of these talented women have a lot of career left in them, and I hope to see these two flourish even more in the future. Rina and Sarai Anu land at number 9 on the list. We got the pair of Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo at number 8, and their feud that started for Timeless Toni Storm's AEW title has devolved into a grudge feud between these two, as each feels the other is responsible for the other not being AEW Women's Champ. On Collision, the two had a very, very good match against each other that saw Thunder Rosa pick up the victory, but it was short-lived as Purrazzo attacked immediately after the match, and yes, female storylines that don't revolve around the title, yet there are still stakes as this feud was born out of them both wanting to be champion. This is how you evolve storylines, and the fact it is happening in AEW and it is their female roster that is reaping the rewards gives me some real hope for the future. But we got two tremendously talented ladies engaged in a heated feud, and I am all for it. Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa are on the list at number 8. We have a couple of new champions that land at number 7, and that is Lueva from CMLL and Saya Kamitani from Stardom. At CMLL March the Glamour Show, Lueva would defeat Dark Silhouette to win the CMLL Women's Occidental Championship in a good match. At the same time, at Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom, Kamitani would best Saki Kamishina, Saya Lita, and Fuigan Death to win the Stardom High Speed Championship in a crazy fatal 4-way match. Saya is still young into her career, while Lueva has been in the game for 15 years and still seems to have it. I'm very interested to see where these women end up next when it comes to their feuds, as it feels like both are on the opposite ends of career trajectory, but time will tell. This week, Lueva, the new CMLL Women's Occidental Champ, and Saya Kamitani, the new Stardom High Speed Champion, comes in at number 7. Kenzie Page from NWA comes in at the halfway point, and she had a busy week as she retained her NWA Women's World Championship against Natalia Markova on NWA Power. Page is approaching 250 days as champ, and it doesn't look like that may be slowing down anytime soon. She is very good on the mic with great character work, and she is only 22 years old. I am just salivating over once she has got some more seasoning under her belt. The feuds and matches she may be able to have are insane. I really like Paige. I think she has a great future if she sticks with it, and clearly the NWA thinks highly of her as well. Let's hope for only great things for her. Kenzie Page, the current NWA Women's Champ, is on the Wrestler of the Week list at number 6. Number 5 is Kiana James, who had a life-changing week as perhaps the biggest surprise name to come out of the WWE draft this week, as she was drafted to Monday Night Raw. While some may be absolutely shocked, I can see James working on the main roster. Kiana James is a complete character, and James is all in on that, adding to the fact that she is very good in the ring. Actually, I think she is a little underrated in that department. It is going to be interesting to see how she is going to debut on Raw and who she will antagonize to introduce her to the WWE main roster fans proper. The video package produced for James went a long way into introducing her, and I think she will fit in with the women of Raw like a glove that she probably keeps in her loaded purse. But this is a major career move for Kiana James, who now has an opportunity to truly make a name for herself. Kiana James arrives at number 5 for Female Wrestler of the Week. The IWGP Women's Champion Mayu Iwatani lands on the Female Wrestler of the Week list at number 4. This week at Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom, Iwatani defeated Saray. This was a back and forth great match, but it was a 2-step dragon suplex that took Saray out, and the Sky Blue Hyper Technician is well into a year of her reign after defeating Mercedes Moné, and Iwatani just feels like a true dominant champion. And now that we have a new challenger in Tsukasa Fujimoto, we got the next test for Iwatani all set up. How much longer can she hold on to the title? Honestly, at this point, the answer may be as long as she wants. Mayu Iwatani, the reigning IWGP Women's Champ, is on the list at number 4. We have Maika from Stardom at number 3 on the list, as she defeated Momo Watanabe in an insane 2 out of 3 falls match. That was basically a 3 stages of hell match to retain her World of Stardom Championship at Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom. Watanabe won the first fall, a basic singles match, then Maika would win 2 straight falls, a hardcore match, and a last woman standing match for the win to retain her title. This was a war, and it felt like these 2 women were just trying to tear each other apart. Maika is at 120 days as champ, and she has been busting her ass ever since winning the title at the end of 2023, wrestling and defending frequently against all comers. All I ask, like Goldberg, is who's next? Maika is a charismatic badass, and I can't wait to see what else is next for her as she looks to dominate her division in Stardom. Maika, the World of Stardom champ, arrives on the list at number 3. The number 2 entry for Female Wrestler of the Week is NXT Women's Champ Roxanne Perez, who at NXT Spring Break-In 1 retained the NXT Women's title against both Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley in a very good match. The story of the match was that Lyra was more focused on Paxley than the title, while Perez allowed the 2 rivals to beat each other up, and eventually, after Paxley hit a beautiful 450 splash of Valkyria, Perez snuck in for the pin and victory. Perez's title run has just started, so I honestly did not expect her to lose the title here, but this was a match to showcase her heel character and display exactly how far she is willing to go to hold on to that title. Perez is finding her groove as a heel, and I dig it, and for as talented as she is, I am certain we haven't even reached the Prodigy's final form. Roxanne Perez is the Prodigy. She has only scratched the surface of her career, and she is only going to get better from here. Roxanne Perez, the NXT Women's Champ, arrives at the list just below number 1. And the Week 12 Wrestler of the Week for the women is really obvious, but sometimes the most obvious choice is the way to go. But the man Becky Lynch sits atop the wrestling world once again, as on Monday Night Raw, she won a main event battle royal to gain Rhea Ripley's vacated WWE World Women's title. After seeing Becky and Rhea tear it up at WrestleMania 40 and having Becky fall short only to return and win the title that eluded her feels like some strange closure, and now we have a major name attached to the title, and I think we are building to Becky and Liv eventually feuding for said title so Liv can complete her revenge tour by taking the title and becoming the number 1 female heel on Raw before Rhea Ripley eventually makes her return after injury. If there is anyone who is able to give Liv that extra boost of credibility, it is Becky Lynch. But for now, I am interested in the immediate, and I would love to see who Big Time Beck's first challenger is going to be. It was a big week, a big return to championship form, and a return to the top of the mountain for the man Becky Lynch, the new WWE Women's World Champ, and the Female Wrestler of the Week for Week 12. And here are our standings for the men and the women. What an absolutely insane week. It seems like ever since Randy Orton and CM Punk returned to WWE, the entire wrestling world has just been on fire. I will say this: wrestling is never boring. What did you think of my picks for Wrestler of the Week? Do you agree or disagree? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.